Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahavirindravavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vitvijavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Gureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Lokyam Sacharacharam Padam Narshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Shri Chinmaya Sat Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sat Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sat Gurave Namaha. Satchidananda Rupaya Vishnu Utpatyata Hetave Apatraya Vinashaya Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Nanda Mukunda Navanita Sura Govinda Radhe Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda Gopala Radhe Bhaktavatsala Bhagavata Priya Govinda Govinda Gopala Radhe Bhaktavatsala Bhagavata Priya Govinda Govinda Gopala Radhe Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Govinda Govinda Gopala Radhe. Govinda Radhe, 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 Govinda Govinda Gopal Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Govinda Govinda Gopal Radhe. Bhagwan's constantly pushing us to be purified. Inhibitions we have, he pushes us to get rid of those inhibitions. So now the Bhagavatam this morning was the introduction of the Bhagavatam, but those verses are also in the Bhagavatam proper. Yeah? And then the teachings of the Bhagavatam start, and it starts with this message, which is highly Vedantic. It's not that the Bhagavatam is just stories. Very often we think Bhagavatam is stories and stories and stories. But here, the first canto starts with this message that there is only one truth and everything else is illusion. And here in the Bhagavatam, that one truth is referred to as Sri Krishna himself. And the example given is, again, where one we hear very often in Vedanta. Just like when we use gold and then we make all the different ornaments. Actually, we don't use ornaments in today's language. It would be all the different jewels, the earrings and the necklace and the bangles and all the rest of it. It's still gold. Whatever you make it into, it's still gold. And as a jeweler, or if somebody who is just valuing the quantity of it, they'll see only gold. They won't see, oh, this is a murti of Ramchandraji. It won't be worth any more money financially than if it was a earring or if it was just a solid block of gold. They see only gold. And so in this way, what's real is the thing that never changes. And this is the formula. If we had to take away a truth to understand, what's real is that which does not change. So gold doesn't change, but the shape can keep changing. In fact, when it's taken out of the earth, it has this particular shape, and then we only melt it and make it into something. And then if we don't like that shape, you can melt it and make it into another shape. And so the shapes keep changing. And from one big block, you can make it into small, chota, dangly things from every bit of the body. But gold stays gold. So whatever shape it is not considered real. Only gold is considered real because it doesn't change. Here too, what's real is that which doesn't change. And everything else that keeps changing isn't real. But we experience it as real. We come into this world and then, it's raining outside and I got wet. It's real. Look, see, it's wet. We feel it is real. And so then the second example that is given is just like in a dream. And sometimes we are sleeping in a very nice AC'd room and we're dreaming we are running and then we break out into a sweat, but we just lying in bed in a very comfortable AC room. But when we think it, our mind makes it feel real. And so if it feels real, that's not the test of it being real. We don't hold on to. How will I know it's real? It feels real. That's not good enough. How will I know it's real? Did it change? Did I always feel this way? Chances are, no. Will I always feel this way? Chances are, no. Although we don't know what we're going to feel, but it keeps changing. So, from this truth that Krishna alone exists, here it goes further to say that even in the stories that we just read, where we see Bhagwan created Brahmaji, Brahmaji created Naraji, Naraji taught it to Vedavyasa, Vyasaji taught it to Shukdev Maharaj. We just did the whole story. And in the Bhagavatam itself, it says, Krishna only is that Supreme Bhagwan, only became Brahmaji, Krishna only became Naraji, Krishna only became Vedavyasa, Krishna only became Shukdev Maharaj, Krishna only became Parikshit Maharaj. And so Krishna is only Bhagavatam to Krishna, using Krishna. And so we are going to be seeing so many stories. But in and through all the stories, know that this is Krishna playing. Like in our daydream. Daydreaming in Sanskrit is called manoranjanam. Translation, entertainment. Literally, that's the translation of daydreaming. Entertainment. Playing. And so here too, Leela. We are seeing Bhagwan's Leela. And so the Bhagavatam starts with, remember, Shaunak Rishi is talking to Rishi Sutta. And he asks these 6 questions. Now, I am following Puja Guruji Swami Tejamayanandaji's Bhagavatam, and you're welcome to get a copy. It's so easy to read. Guruji's English is simple and uncomplicated, and he writes with so much bhav. So a lot of what, I'm not going to go into the details because it's already there and you can already refer to it. But these 6 questions, very briefly, is what is that path in life that man has to take, which is his or her highest welfare? Now the question's longer than that, but that's the gist of the question. And then the second question is, why does Bhagwan take avatar? And then when he takes avatar, what does he do? And then what are the different avatars he takes? And specifically, can you tell me about Krishna avatar? And so you can see that the Bhagavatam is an answer to these questions. And then the last one is, when Bhagwan leaves, when Krishna left, then who will look after Dharma? And this is such a nice question. Because Bhagwan comes to look after Dharma. And then when he leaves, who is going to look after Dharma? Well, we already know the answer. Only he can look after Dharma. And that's one of the things that why Bhagavatam is so special, because he stays back to help us look after Dharma. And then in answering these questions, Sutta explains that it's very important to understand Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. How many of you are already familiar with these? A few? Not everyone? Okay. So, let's do Artha first. It's the easiest. Artha is the pursuit of money. Yeah? Whatever it is that helps us to stay alive. In today, it's money. In the old days, it was just food, or it was cows. Yeah? Now it's so many things, including bitcoins. Don't actually exist. So much like Maya. The way finance works actually is very much the description of Maya. It's there, but it's not there. Why do we pursue Artha? This you can answer. Quickly, quickly, quickly. This is easy question. Comfort, very good. Supposed happiness. Very nice. Okay, Artha and then Kama. Kama is desire. Yeah? Kama is being comfortable, being beautiful. It's travel, entertainment. Okay, coming back to my question. Why do we pursue artha? Enjoyment. Kama is its own section. Enjoyment is kama.
Power.
Survival, power. Both are true. Status. Very much so. Anything else? Security. To find purpose. Yeah. To find freedom, yes. A lot of people will say money gives them freedom. Very good. Okay. So for all these reasons, we pursue artha. Mainly, we pursue artha for artha's sake. Or, in what you all have answered, for kama, which is pleasure, all the things we desire. But very clearly, kama and artha are sandwiched between dharma. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That's the way we usually say the group. So, first comes dharma, which is also answering what Bhagavatam is saying. Why should we pursue artha? We pursue it for all the reasons. Bhagavatam is saying the purpose of artha is dharma. Huh? What does that mean? How can the pursuit of artha be for dharma? Again, quickly answer, even though this question is a little harder.
Environment sustainability, you need money, otherwise you can't carry it out.
To look after things, we need funds. Yes. Not even just environment, even things like art, the temples, etc. All of that needs funds to be maintained. Very nice. Anything else? Oh, nice. Householder's duty is to provide for children who cannot support themselves and sannyasis. I understood what I heard you, I understood. Those are in pursuit of the higher, sannyas, correct. We earn because we can, so others don't have to and can pursue something because we still want all this. So let those who don't want it now, we'll support them. Very nice. Yes, you were going to say.
Confidence.
We pursue it for confidence. It does give confidence. Help with dharma.
For my own personal dharma, I would want to take care of my duties first, so that I will try to pursue.
Yeah. Yes. Very nice. So, this explanation that we pursue artha for different reasons. A lot of it is for karma. Or, like when we want power, when we want status, we just want artha for itself. But actually, we're supposed to pursue artha to fulfill dharma. And then why should we fulfill dharma? It's not a trick question. I basically already gave you the answer. Dharma, artha, kama, ha. Dharma is pursued for moksha. What's moksha? Nirvana. Me no longer seeing you and me as separate. Right now, remember this morning I said, there's me, there's you. And then not only is there you, there's you who I like, there's you who I don't like. So I am not seeing you even, I'm seeing my likes and dislikes. Then where will Krishna feature? Krishna doesn't feature. What is moksha? I see you and I see Krishna. I am able to recognize changeless. I'm able to recognize truth. I'm able to see with, in Shivji we have that third eye. This third eye is being able to see with that. The description given is to know the truth. Nobody can tell us what is the truth. Only Bhagwan can tell us the truth. So to know the truth, we have to see through Bhagwan's eyes. How to see through Bhagwan's eyes? First, we have to see into his eyes. What would we see if we looked into Bhagwan's eyes? And who's this Bhagwan whose eyes we have to look into? Bhagwan is that who can see everything and everyone in himself, by himself. So truth is being able to see everything and everyone in ourselves. That means our heart has to become so big. And the mind has to dissolve into all of infinity. This is the beauty that the Bhagavatam starts with. Such incredible profoundness. This is why it is said that in the Bhagavatam, when we read it, bhakti and jnana come back to life. Because to understand this, we have to think. And the more we understand this, the higher our thinking becomes. Vairagya is, well, it's not easy, but it's easier. So these questions are asked, and then each one is answered. Each one is answered fairly briefly, and most of them we're going to see the answer, but just the two that are not obvious, because these questions are already saying about the stories of Bhagwan's avatars, and that we're going to see. Only the first question, which is our highest good? The brief answer is given in Canto 1, elaborate answer is given in later cantos. And so we'll see it when it comes to it. But the brief answer is, when we are able to love without reason. Now, if we think about it, let's use Bhagwan only as our best example. When we love Bhagwan, often, for so many of us, there's a reason. Because maybe it's gratitude, you love me so much, and so I love you. But often it's also because you can give me what I want. Yeah. Not that he always gives, but we always hope. And so, in fact, Guruji in his commentary gives the story of a young who studied really hard and then prayed to whichever Bhagwan, Ganeshji, and please help me pass. And he passes. And then he thinks Ganeshji's got so much power. And then next time he has a test, he prays to Ganeshji and he doesn't pass. And then he gets so angry with Ganeshji. And then when he says, why didn't I pass? Why didn't you? I prayed to you. And then Ganeshji manifests and said, you didn't study. And then he said, if I have to study to pass, then why should I pray to you? So often we go to him for something. We do it with each other also. Parents will also tell you this. You know, when the kids want something, it's Daddy. Suddenly the voice becomes so sweet. Otherwise, they're screaming, they're shouting, bye, they're on their phone, all we get from them. But when they want something, and it's not just children doing this, we are the same. We're getting along with someone, we consider them a friend or a relative we're close to, and then something happens, have a disagreement, and now they off our good people's list. What is the highest good we can do in this world? Not just love. Love without reason. And what's the highest we can love? Of course, Bhagwan. And so then the highest would be to love Bhagwan without reason. The goals set in Bhagavatam are high. The goal set in Bhagavatam is not do some kirtan bhajan ho gaya baat. No. Love unconditionally is the goal being set here. And Bhagwan also, it's saying, what does he do when he comes? Why does he keep coming? So often, he's taken so many avatars. And there's different types of avatars also. And we're going to be talking about this story where the earth is crying because unless there are avatars of Bhagwan at any given point, she feels too much pain. Yeah. And so he's perpetually here in some form or the other to relieve suffering. And so many avatars. And one of the questions is, why? Why does Bhagwan keep taking these avatars? And so sweetly here, the example is given that here's a little tantrum and boss, I'm not going to eat now. And storms off and go and hide in some corner. The mother will leave the child for a while. Then after some time she'll go. Come eat something. Then he'll still be very grumpy. He wants to come now because sometimes we do this thing where we have to keep face and no. And then she'll cajole and then she'll cajole and then she'll cajole. Finally, they come back. And this entire Bhagavatam is all the stories of how Bhagwan keeps coming like that mother to tell each of one of us, come back. There's no need to stay in this world and keep suffering. Come back. Right? And as patient and as caring and as loving as that parent or grandparent is, Bhagwan is with us. So then the last one of where does Dharma stay? Dharma stays in the Santa Mahatma, in the Bhagavatam, and is protected by him alone. This also will be further explained. And before we go into the stories of today, there's another section in the explanation here where he talks about the colors. He talks about how in each avatar of Bhagwan, he comes, and in Krishna avatar, he's considered Purna avatar because is manifesting in all his colors. Now you may have heard this before. Krishna is the Purna avatar. Guruji says that even Ramchandraji is, because at that point in time, there were only 12 colors available, and Ramchandraji came in 12 colors. But in the Bhagavatam, it specifies that Krishna came as Purna avatars because he manifests as 16 colors. Now, what are these colors? Even I find them a little tricky to understand, but I'm going to do my best to explain them. Any quality that defines us. So a stone is the first color because it exists. Then having some physical functions, like a plant, has 2 colors. Then have intellectual capacity, like an animal, is 3 colors. Then not only having intellectual capacity, but higher cognition, the ability to discriminate and improve, 4 colors. Then having the cause-effect cycle in our life, determining our destiny, 5 colors. And so most of us have 5 colors. Pretty much all of us have 5 colors, but we use this intellectual functioning to varying degrees. So humans have 5 colors. And no matter how enlightened a human becomes, and so each capacity of the mind, each siddhi that we build on is the next color. In a human body, the highest you can reach is 8 colors. Ram avatar was 12, Krishna avatar is 16. In a human body, you can only reach 8 colors max, which is why it is said that Krishna's body wasn't physical. Even I've heard many a times that Krishna never aged, and Krishna literally shone. And it's because his body isn't physical. It's a mass of consciousness manifesting. Only then can he display 16 colors. Now, it's the intensity of the power that operates through our intellectual capacity that is this colors. And so if we put 1,000-watt electrical equipment into a 200 thing, it will blow. So something that is that bright wouldn't fit into something that doesn't allow it to be able to manifest. And so all the different avatars that are possible are showing us different measurements of this brilliance of divinity. And the most fullest brilliance we have seen is Krishna avatar. That has existed. And even the next one that's meant to come, it may not live up to the beauty of what is being described as Krishna avatar. And then this first canto goes into Veda Vyasa's story. We already touched on it this morning. Vyasa had written the 4 Vedas. He had written the entire Mahabharata. He had already written some Puranas, and he was still feeling very discontent. And so he meets Naradji, and Narad Muni tells him, it's because you've stuck to Dharma with such, what's the word? Strictness. Don't you understand? These humans can't be so strict with Dharma. You have to loosen it a little bit. You have to allow them to a little bit have their weaknesses, indulgences, their preoccupations, their attachments, which I think, and I specifically mentioned this point because I thought it's very sweet that Naradji is so compassionate. That he's giving us this little leeway that the humans are going to be like that now. They're not going to be able to follow it so strictly. And so then he starts narrating Bhagwan's grace on him and how to feel that love and gratitude for Bhagwan is what brings the fullest amount of satisfaction. And so 3 lifetimes of Naradji narrated. So Naradji was a Gandharva, and then we know this mischievous nature of Narad Muni. He did something, and he got cursed. And then he got born here on earth to a maid servant. So now it's not a very luxurious life because they were living in the maid quarters, and then he had to be quiet, he had to be disciplined. But the punya of all his virtues, this is always something we must remember, that even though we've done something that brings us suffering, we've definitely also done good things. And those good things also will manifest. And so, yes, he was cursed and he had to leave and he had to be born on earth and he was born to a servant, but In the palace where she served, there were constantly Santa Mahatma coming. And he used to eat their leftover food. Why is this important? Because it is said that you become like the person whose food you eat. Not the cook. The juta. What's the word for it? So many words in so many regional languages. Yeah. So if you eat somebody else's juta, you become like them. That's why they say don't eat anybody's juta. You love Bhagwan and you pursue that. But Naraji as a child ate it. And the idea is he used to eat the Santa Mahatma's juta. And so more and more, his heart started being filled with devotion. Now he was cursed. So at a very age, he lost his mother. Yeah. But because he had gotten this immense devotion for Santa Mahatma, he felt that it freed him. Because as an only son, he kept thinking he has to look after her, he has to look after her. But now that she's not there, he was free to pursue this path. And he followed one group and he was singing bhajans and he was doing tapas and he was singing and meditating day in, day out. And one day when he was sitting in his meditation, he sees, he feels, his hair stands on end, he is able to experience that divine truth, and then it's gone. And you know, when you experience it like that and then it gets taken away from you, you feel this utter, and in that, like, why? Where did you go? And he hears Bhagwan's voice saying, you haven't done enough punya to be able to see me, but I gave you this glimpse so that you don't quit. You keep pursuing. Purify your mind until you can see me again. And this too is his compassion. Even without us deserving, he gives so that we don't get completely dejected. We keep trying. And Narad Muni ji did. He did so much tapas and he did so much sadhana. And there's two ways of getting moksha. So when he dies, he has to wait in Swarg till Pralaya. Pralaya is the dissolution of the entire world, and only in the next creation cycle does he get born as Narad Muni. So there is Jivan Mukta, where you get enlightenment here and now. And then there is this route of you doing so much tapas, you have to wait and continue purifying your mind even in Swarg. And then next cycle are we released. And so Narad Muni, cursed, born to be human, and then gets born as Narad Muni. And then explaining this thirst that he had to see Bhagwan, and this thirst that he had to see Bhagwan is what purified him. And so he's advising Vedavyasa, just feel that longing. Feel that wanting to be with. And that burns away all the resistance within our own mind to let go. It burns away the anger. It burns away the guilt and regrets. Whatever obstacle it is for us to be able to still that mind. And so Vedavyasa follows his example and finds, he sits down and Bhagwan's grace alone comes from him by Bhagavatam's words narrated to Shukdev ji. And then the story of how the main Bhagavatam story of how it starts is usually this one. The one that I'm about to say now is the one that people usually relate the beginning of the Bhagavatam to. There's so many stories and stories and stories. So the Mahabharata, with the Pandavas winning, Krishna leaving earth, and the Pandavas following Krishna, King Parikshit in charge. Yeah? And who is this King Parikshit? Is explained here in Bhagavatam. And there's slight differences in the story of how the story is told in the Mahabharata and how the story is told here in the Bhagavatam. But since we're doing Bhagavatam, I will stick to the way it's told here in the Bhagavatam. So Krishna taught Arjuna the Bhagavad Gita and was Arjuna's charioteer in the Mahabharata war. Arjuna's son is Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is Krishna's nephew because Arjuna married Subhadra, and Subhadra is Krishna's sister. Okay, great. You all know the family tree. And so not only is Abhimanyu Arjuna's son, he's got so much of Krishna in him. Then the Pandavas got exiled into the forest, and Subhadra came back to Dwarka to live with Krishna. And so Krishna was Abhimanyu's guru, not just Mamu. Became guru who taught him everything. So this Abhimanyu, like you know how there's that kid that just everybody loves and thinks that's their kid? And like love to a whole new level. This Abhimanyu marries Uttara. And Uttara is pregnant. The Mahabharata war starts. Abhimanyu is horribly killed. Uttara is left with the unborn child in her womb and the memories of Abhimanyu. Krishna leaves, the Pandavas are going to leave, and there's no one left except the child in Uttara's womb. Because, again, I don't want to talk too much about it because it's very unpleasant. Ashwatthama killed every other child. And so now the only child left is this unborn one. So Uttara, when Ashwatthama shoots an arrow to her womb, Uttara knows it's to kill her child. And so Arjuna is her father-in-law. Yudhishthira is her father-in-law. She doesn't go to them. She goes straight to Krishna. And how blessed she is that she could go straight to Krishna. And what does she say? Now, any other mother would say, save me. But you have to know, Uttara wasn't any other mother. Neither was Subhadra. Neither was Kunti. That's the lineage, right? So Parikshit's mother is Uttara. Grandmother is Subhadra. Great-grandmother is Kunti. What does Uttara say to Krishna? This child is from a lineage of bhaktas. We cannot break the lineage of your devotees. The world has to know that you protect them. She was more interested that Krishna be glorified than her baby protected. The world must know you protect them. And she's saying this because her husband, Abhimanyu, died in the war. And when Abhimanyu died in the war, Subhadra never asked Krishna, why didn't you save him? She cried, and he would cry, but she never once asked, why didn't you save him? Because Krishna would know better. If Krishna let go, that's Krishna's choice. And so look at Subhadra's faith. Now look at Uttara's faith. People shouldn't say that. You don't protect. This one to protect. You protected Arjuna. You didn't protect Abhimanyu, never mind. You protect this one. And I said 3 generations, right? And Kunti, what does Kunti say at the end of the war? This is also very famous. Whenever there has been misery in my life, Krishna, you have been there. Bless me with more misery, so never leave me. Now look at the lineage from which comes to, because you must remember, when you hear what happens with Parikshit, you're going to think, why is he so lucky? Please know why he's so lucky. He comes from a lineage of such devoted women and men, right? When you was, just, you can't praise him in. And Arjuna, of course, if the Gita was taught to Arjuna, then that devotion and purity of heart that Arjuna had. And before Arjuna is King Pandu, who also lived very austere, made a few mistakes, but lived very, very austere with great love for Santa Mahatma, is Veda Vyasa. That's the paternal lineage. The maternal, you know which one's better. This is my favorite part of the story. I'm going to Bal Vihar style because Bal Vihar style is the best. Krishna, in his enthusiasm to save Parikshit, enters Uttara's womb. Krishna did not enter Devaki's womb. Krishna did not enter Ma Yashoda's womb. In every avatar that Krishna has taken, he's never gone into the womb. But in his love for wanting to save Parikshit, he goes into Uttara's womb. And now this is the Balvihar bit. He becomes a force field of blue light around Parikshit inside the womb. And this little baby inside the womb is suddenly filled with blue light and such joy, and everything feels light and everything feels full, and his heart is dancing because Krishna has surrounded him. And so this surrounding him is making him feel so safe and so strong and so loved. And then he's saved because the Brahmastra can't destroy him. And just like he does with Narad Muni, he disappears. And so now this little baby in the womb is thinking, where'd he go? And when Parikshit is born, he remembers what it felt like to have Krishna wrap around and protect him. And he keeps looking for Krishna. And he goes to everyone. When he was alive, people still remembered Krishna. And he would want to hear their stories. You know, when I read this section, it reminded me so much of me when I traveled with Guruji. Everyone I met, I would say, did you meet Gurudev? Can you tell? It really sounds like that's exactly what Parikshit did. He would meet people, he would say, can you tell me about Krishna? And now, he didn't ask about his grandfather. He didn't ask about his father, spoke about them. Because the minute he said who he was, they would say, oh, son of Abhimanyu, and they would praise him, and grandson of praise him. But what would really touch his heart is when people would say, that Krishna became father's charioteer. And what your grandfather told him to do, he'd listen. And Parikshit would be filled with this immense sense of how much Krishna loved my grandfather. And because of that love, he protected me. This incredible sense of gratitude he would feel. When Krishna leaves, of course, Parikshit was much younger. I think Parikshit was maybe around teenage when the Pandavas leave and put him on the throne. And they do that because when Parikshit was born, astrologers to read his chart, wow, the praise that the astrologer had for Parikshit was that a better warrior than Arjuna, more dharmic, Yudhishthira, a greater devotee than Narad Muni, and it was the praise of King Parikshit is amazing. And the greatest thing that King Parikshit did was he kept Kali away. Now, what's this? When Krishna leaves, that's the beginning of Kali. You would have heard the word Kali. What's Kali? Where Kali prospers. So, who's Kali? Basically, a Dharma. Parikshit already knew the minute Krishna leaves, Kali comes, because it was Krishna keeping Kali at bay. He kept bay by ensuring that everybody lived righteously, that pujas were done, tapas were done, dharma was followed. As a king, he was so diligent about education, about parenting, about everything. He was so incredibly diligent. And so diligent was he that his kingdom kept growing, and it is said that he united all 7 continents. He was the first king of the world. Until one day, he meets, or he sees rather, a cow, and she's crying, talking to a bull who's standing on one leg. Is the bull of Dharma. Yeah. And the bull of Dharma, of course, stands on 4 legs. In Kali Yuga, 3 legs have been broken. It's sitting only on 1 leg. And the cow is crying. And the conversation they're having is the bull is asking the cow, why are you crying? Is it because Krishna has left this earth and you miss him and you cannot bear the selfishness that has come into the human heart? He already knows the answer. And the bull represents Dharma, the cow represents Mother Earth. Mother Earth can bear our physical weight. We become selfish, and when we follow Adha, we weigh more. And so she feels more burdened with that weight. It's got nothing to do with our physical. When we are following and are selfless, our weight is easy to hold. But with Kali in the rise and Dharma going down, the weight becoming suffocating for her. And just as he's watching them have this conversation, a man comes back and starts beating both the cow and the bull. He recognizes straight away that this is Kali. And so he says, how dare you even try to harm Dharma, someone of the Pandava lineage? But Kali is very sneaky. He immediately falls at King Parikshit's feet because we know that when we fall at feet, they have to protect us. I think we know that. It's one of the reasons we bow down. Because if we fall at someone's feet, it is their dharma to protect us. Now, Kali is holding King Parikshit's feet and saying, please don't kill me. So, of course, now Parikshitji can't kill him. So, King Parikshit says, I banish you from my kingdom. And again, Kali is very smart. He said, but the whole world's your kingdom. Where will I go? And so he says, now please listen to this list very carefully. You can go and live where there is gambling, there is alcohol, there is adultery, and there is violence. So please know, Kali has full permission to live in these places. Then Kali, I told you, Kali is very smart. He said, oh kingdom, you don't allow these things. So where will I go? So King Parikshit adds one more quality. You can go and live where there is wealth. Mm-hmm. Why? Because with wealth, arrogance can come very easily. It doesn't always come, but it can come. And that is why the more money you have, the more tapas and puja you need to do. Maybe you'll be safe, but the children born to money, it's far too easy. But the more puja and tapas we do, even they'll be safe. And so it's a caution to this. If we're going to go to alcohol, gambling, sensuousness, we already the domain where Kali flourishes. And then we should go in fully aware that he flourishes in these places. But Parikshit's still given the title of defeating Kali. Because he kept Kali away for many, many, many years. And after banishing him to these places, which still people who want to follow a path of Dharma safe. If you're following a path of Dharma, Kali can't come. So people who wants to follow Dharma is still safe. And so in a way, Parikshit still has conquered Kali. Now, even though King Parikshit is so virtuous, Bhagwan needed to play some leela. And so he's out one day, his horse in the forest, and he gets what we call today hangry. Such a nice word. He was very, very tired, thirsty, and hungry. He goes into an ashram, and it's Rishi Shamika's ashram. He goes and he stands in the Rishi. The Rishi is in Samadhi. Now, if somebody is in Samadhi, they can't hear you. He knows this also. But he's angry, so he's not thinking clearly. And somebody who has done so much punya and who has lived so diligently, in just a matter of seconds can do something so foolish. So he says, please give me water. And of course, the rishi doesn't reply because he's in samadhi. So he's just annoyed. You know, when you're in that mood of just annoyed, we should actually do nothing when we're in that mood because anything we do in that mood is just going to be a disaster. We should just lock ourselves in our rooms when we are in that mood because really. So there's a snake had shed its skin and that old skin was lying there. So he takes his arrow, bow, stick, whatever, lifts that dead skin of the snake and puts it around Rishi Shamika and goes off. Now you might think that's not so bad also. Compared to other things that other people have done, that's not so bad also. Please note, please remember this thought because it's going to be important in a moment. The Rishi's son comes. The Rishi's son is so angry. And you know, when our parents are insulted, we won't take it. And so the Rishi's son said, whoever has done this, may they be bitten and killed by a snake bite. And then he's still crying, he's still upset because the friends were there and somebody said something and you know how it ended. And in all that hamagama, Shamika Rishi is out of his samadhi, sees his son and says, why are you upset? Full story gets narrated. He thinks, who put this snake? Let me see who's cursed. He uses his yogic power and he thinks, son, what have you done? Parikshit is such a noble king. He's been keeping us safe from a dharma. And then he explains to the son, it's so sweet, that in the midst of all the story, this explanation that the father gives to the son, that the punishment should be fitting of the crime. Like you can't give such an extreme punishment for something that's so small. Like maybe bitten by a snake, you don't have to die by it. Even bitten was a bit harsh. Scared by a snake would have been enough, something to that effect. Anyway, the rishi amends the curse. You'll die in 7 days because he thinks King Parikshit should at least get time to prepare, organize the kingdom, all the rest of it. And secondly, he should know. Now, pause. In the story here in the ashram, back at the palace. King Parikshit has come back to the palace. He's eaten. And now, calmed down. And the first thing he thinks, have I done? How could I have done something so disrespectful? And then he puts his hands together and he prays, Bhagwan, please give me a punishment that ensures I never sin again. He prays. For what? Punishment. What kind of punishment? That I never sin again. And then he sits and waits. What punishment is Bhagwan going to give me? In the meantime, the messenger has come from the ashram. The messenger says, you've been cursed. And King Parikshit says, Bhagwan, let me off easy. I deserve this consequence. Now, just his gracefulness in accepting the consequence, but his earnestness of wanting to be so pure, of wanting to follow Dharma so perfectly, of wanting to have not even the smallest amount of dirt in his mind. Yeah. And so he hands over his kingdom to Janmanijaya, which is where the story of the Mahabharata starts. Although it goes back to the very beginning, it starts here with King Parikshit's son, Janmanijaya, trying to save his father from this curse. But we're not going to go into Mahabharata story. We're sticking to Bhagavatam story. He hands over his kingdom to his son and he leaves for the banks of River Ganga. Why? Because I'm going to die. Let me be close to the River Ganga, so when I finally do die, they can just push me in. This much consideration, huh? This much consideration. I don't want to even trouble anyone to have to take my body. I'll go and sit near the River Ganga. And in his heart, he's praying, now, Bhagwan, what should I do? As he's walking to the River Ganga, already Santa Mahatma are coming from every direction. If you read the list of the saints that have gone to sit with Parikshitji for those 7 days, Agastya Rishi, Bharadwaj Muni, Naradji himself, Veda Vyasa himself. The list is something like 25 great saints who have all just come to sit with King Parikshit for those 7 days. And when he sees them, he starts tearing with so much gratitude that you all have come to be here with me. And so he asks them, how does one prepare for death? Tell me what it is that I should do. And just as he finishes his question, Shukdev Maharaj comes from out of the forest. Hardly anyone has ever seen him. But the minute Shukdev Maharaj comes, all these other great saints and sages also stand up, including his own father Vedavyasa also stands up to receive him. Because he also, like one of these avatars, would shine. Literally, he would shine with tej. And then Parikshitji says, it is known, Shukdev Maharaj, that you don't stay anywhere longer than it takes to milk a cow. So for as long as you are here, please guide me on what to do. And Shukdev Maharaj sits down. And starts teaching the Bhagavatam. And King Parikshit is listening. And every now and then, he'll ask questions. And then every now and then, he'll say, but are you going to tell me about Krishna yet? Are we on the bit where it's Krishna yet? Because his whole life, he's just been wanting to experience that joy that he experienced in his mother's womb. And just as Krishna protected him in Uttara's womb, when he was threatened, when he was cursed, the threat is not a weapon. The threat is words. And so Krishna comes as the Bhagavatam to protect him once again. This Bhagavatam becomes his shield. He is so lost in the thought of Bhagwan and has already reached the state of samadhi. When the snake finally comes, it's an empty that it bites. For Parikshit already merged with the Krishna he was seeking. In the Bhagavatam, this curse that Parikshit had, that you will die in 7 days, is true for every single one of us. On one of the 7 days. What are we cursed with? The curse of time. Snake is very often time. We never know how to have. It's very interesting. Sometimes people who want to go and they don't. And people who don't want to go and they go. What is the Bhagavatam? We don't know. If he wants us here, we follow Dharma to get moksha. If he wants to take us, follow Dharma to get moksha. And loving him and surrendering to him is our way to jnana, vairagya, that helps us get that dharma and that moksha. And just as Krishna manifested as the Bhagavatam to protect Parikshit, he has manifested here now to protect each one of us. And so we invoke him as we sing this last bhajan. We invoke him with love in our hearts so that we too can raise in our thinking like Parikshit and pray that Bhagwan, whatever you give me, no, it's to cleanse me and bring me closer to you. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Krishna, 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 Jaya Radhe Krishna. Krishna, 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 Jaya Radhe Krishna. Govinda, Govinda, Bhajo Radhe Govinda. Gopala, Gopala, Jaya Krishna Mukunda. Govinda, Govinda, Bhajo Radhe Govinda. Gopala, Gopala, Jaya Krishna Mukunda. Om Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Om Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Krishna, 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 Jaya Radhe Krishna. Govinda, Govinda, Bhajo Radhe Govinda. Gopala, Gopala, Jaya Krishna Mukunda. Om Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om. Bole Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhave, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om